All right, greetings and welcome to the Zero Hour Squared Classics. Joining us right now, you know him from the bands Steeler, Keel, Iron Horse, the Ron Keel band, Emerald Sabbath. He was one of the first metal artists to also cross over into country music, one of the very first sort of innovative at the time. He will be in Albuquerque for a free show on Saturday, September 20th at Backstage Revel with supporting artists and also his backup group for him on that night, Locals The Thaw. And he also gave you the right to rock back in 1985. I'm talking about the Metal Cowboy himself joining us right now on our 50th episode of the Zero Hour Squared Classics, Mr. Ron Keel. Ron, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great, Mike. Great to talk to you and hello to you and your audience. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you, and it's great to have you on. So let's get into it right away about the show that you're going to be doing. I mentioned you'll be with at Backstage Revel on September 20th. It is a free show, and the FA will be playing with you as well as support act. Tell us a little bit about this entire show and what you're going to be doing.
Well, first of all the hard rock fans and music lovers in general in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're all on the guest list, all right? Because this is a free show. I don't know how they pulled this off. I'm getting paid. But for you, it's free. I said free to get into the show in Albuquerque at Backstage at Revel, September 20th. I can't wait to come back to ABQ, man. It's been 10 years. And the show is a hybrid acoustic electric gig where I'll do my entire alone acoustic show, which includes songs from Keel, Steeler, Ron Keel Band, the entire history of my life and my career and the stories behind those songs. But then I'll also be backed up by our support act, the FA, doing an electric set.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Albuquerque. You do have a lengthy history. You've played here. One of my first shows growing up in the '80s was you at Civic Auditorium, I believe. Crocus, Heel. I mean, was it Crocus, Helix, and yourselves, if I'm correct. And you also, I believe I want to say you did a show over at Grand Central Station, but I might be incorrect. I don't know. It's been a long time.
I know Albuquerque has always been good to us. I think it was the second show of the Right to Rock tour. We were opening for Loudness, and then we came back maybe 6 months later with Accept and Helix, and then the Crocus tour in '86. But like I said, it's been 10 years, man. The last time I was there, we shot the video for Just Like Tennessee with that beautiful scenery that surrounds Albuquerque up on the mountain and all over by the river. Just Like Tennessee was an amazing video shoot, one of my best songs of my career. Some great memories, and I look forward to making some new memories September 20th in the ABQ.
Nice, nice. Now it seems like Albuquerque in New Mexico is it's kind of mystical, magical place. So it feels like when you talk about it that you have a lot of love for it out here. What are some of the experiences, or what is it about the Southwest out here that you enjoy?
Well, I grew up in Phoenix. That desert put the cowboy in me, so to speak. And growing up in Arizona with the rocks and the cactus and that desert attitude and that vibe, and Albuquerque and New Mexico in general, some great memories there, not just of performing and playing and singing, but seeing some of the historical sites like Chaco Canyon and being able to explore that landscape has been a huge pleasure in my life. And it's been too long. I'm ready to come back.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to get a little bit into the album, but first about the show. I know that you're playing a show in Phoenix as well, prior to the date in Albuquerque, and you also have a band called Generation Landslide. And are they a Phoenix-based band, and they are also going to be your backup band there as well?
Generation Landslide is based in Las Vegas, and this is their Phoenix debut the night before. Now, this band, Generation Landslide, is signed to my label, RFK Media, so it's a perfect fit to get them down from Vegas for their Phoenix debut and back me up, kind of like we're doing in Albuquerque with the FA. We're doing some Keel classics and some Ron Keel songs, full electric with Generation Landslide in Phoenix the night before. So by the time I hit the ground running in Albuquerque, I'll be firing on all cylinders. I'll be warmed up from the night before and ready to go, man. So it's a great little Southwest run, Phoenix, Albuquerque, back to back, September 19th and 20th.
Very cool, very cool. So how did you hook up with the FA? And the FA includes Mike Ariza and Amy Faith. They're an Albuquerque, local Albuquerque duet. How did you hook up with them to do this show with you?
Mike Ariza, the guitar player for The Thaw, has been a friend of mine for a long, long time. I got introduced to him when he worked with Frank Hannon from Tesla on the Six String Soldiers album.
Right.
And we got to know each other and became friends at that point. And he put this new band together with his lead singer, Amy Faith, who is absolutely just incredible. This voice and this presence that Amy brings to the stage is, I've seen it on video and online. I can't wait to see it live in person in Albuquerque when Amy Faith takes the stage. But Mike Ariza is the key to this. He's the guitar player and the I'm sure Amy's songwriting partner and he's just I mean if Frank Hannon recruits you to play guitar on his album, you got something going on and not only is he an incredible player, but a great human being as well. So Mike Ariza is the reason he invited me out and asked to do a show together, and I said, hell yeah.
Nice, nice. Well, I want to thank you for doing that because that's really cool that a international world touring artist like yourself is including a local artist and very fine and talented musicians at that. It's going to be very cool that they're going to be backing you up, playing some of the hits with you, and just having an overall good time. I think that's very great, and I think a lot of people out here in Albuquerque will appreciate that.
It's going to be a show. It's not just a gig, it's a show. And we have built a format to where I will do my solo acoustic, alone acoustic show, whatever you want to call it, and tell you the stories and the take you through a journey throughout my entire career. And then they'll do their whole show, their original music, which is fantastic. And then at the end of the night for the big finale, we'll join together on stage and electrify it with some Keel classics.
Nice, nice, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Again,
I'm
that
looking forward to seeing you there, man. We'll get a handshake and a hug and have a beer and enjoy a great night of music.
absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, man. Man, I'm kind of fanboying a little bit, man, but it's been a long time. I was a kid when I grew up listening to you, and I never thought, hey, I'd get to see you kind of full circle and then in this kind of setting. What I really like, though, is the crossover into country music. You were one of the first to really kind of do this from the metal genre, and then several guitarists and several other artists have been doing it now for kind of decades. But from what I recall, you were one of the first that I remember kind of hearing going into that genre of music. Tell us a little bit about that adventure.
Yeah, well, my VH1 special, Where Are They Now? Ron Keel Goes Country, remains the highest rated Where Are They Now special in VH1's history. It was big news in 1995 when I released my debut country album, Western Country, 30 years ago. And we are releasing the 30th anniversary edition of that album this year through RFK Media. So it was a shock to many, and still to this day, 30 years later, you'll see hundreds of comments on social media and YouTube and so forth about Ron Keel. I heard he went country. Well, it was 30 years ago, and it's been a hell of a ride. I never drew lines or barricades or fences around my music. I grew up playing classical music. I'm classically trained, played in the school bands and the orchestra, multitude of instruments, learning to read music and music theory, and classical music was a big foundation of my education. And I played the blues and jazz in high school. In my early years, I won awards for playing blues guitar and jazz music in high school. So to me, there were never those barricades around styles and genres like there are now. When I was growing up, we could hear the Eagles and Black Sabbath on the same radio station. And to me, it was all just great songs. I mean, Take It Easy, Paranoid, that's great stuff. I mean, I love the songs. So when the 90s came around, and all of a sudden, you got to realize in the 80s, we all thought we'd made it, man. We're there. We're playing Madison Square Garden. We're touring with Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Van Halen. This is great. This is what I've worked for all these years. And it's going to last forever, right? I mean, it's not going away. And it did. Unfortunately, uh, it was a very tough transition when you get dropped by your label in 1990. There's no more tours. There's no more band. There's no more Marshall Stacks and smoke and pyro and all that. Where do you go from here? I was compelled by the urge to create, to write songs, to entertain people, pick up the guitar and whatever comes out, it comes out. And like many rock artists before me that played country music, I mean, the Stones, every rose has its thorns, a country song. I don't care what you say. Cinderella, you know, Long Cold Winter. I mean, there's a lot of country music influence in hard rock. And at the time, it was the only place you could go that was a safe place to land where you could still sing songs about drinking beer and chasing women.
Right.
And it felt right to me. I did an album in 95 called Western Country, as I said, the 30th anniversary this year, and went on to join a band called the Rattlers, toured the world on our military bases throughout all over the planet with the Rattlers, playing country music for our military veterans stationed on these various bases around the world. And just amazing experiences. Had a lot of songs, I think over 100 songs placed in television and films, big shows like The X-Files and so forth that used my country music compositions. Literally kept me alive, kept me creative, kept me on stage entertaining people. And at one point, it became clear that even on that side of the fence, I'm still an outcast. I'm still an outlaw. I never really fit in with the Nashville crowd. And I became what we now call the Metal Cowboy, a hybrid of country and metal. And you'll hear all that on the new album, Keelworld. There are Ron Keel songs. There are Ronnie Lee Keel songs that are country songs on the new album. And everything from Ronnie Lee Keel to Emerald Sabbath, the Black Sabbath tribute. It's all there on the new album, Keelworld. So I'm thankful to have had the chance to explore all these landscapes and all these different places and vibes and styles and never put any restrictions on my creativity.
Very nice. I think back in the 90s, one of the key artists that kind of helped basically really legitimize what musicians and artists like yourself that were crossing over into that genre was probably Garth Brooks when he had admitted that Kiss was one of his favorite bands. I think that was very helpful for a lot of the people in the rock and metal community to kind of latch onto that. A lot of folks my age kind of grew up and started listening to more country music and kind of veered off from a lot of the hard rock metal. In other words, they kind of grew up. I never did. I still loved metal, but I always was a big country fan as well. And I'm going to ask you, who was probably the leading artist in country music that was like your all-time favorite that really helped propel you into playing?
Oh, it was definitely Garth. I saw Garth at the Forum in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve, 1993, I think, maybe 92. And I saw Garth up there, and they're using power chords, and they're the big show and the high energy level that he put out on stage, smashing guitars and all that. And I said, okay, I think we've come to the point now where I can express myself with a show that still has a lot of energy and power, but sing songs about real life. And Garth did tear that barricade down for me. The next day, I went country and called my friend, my management partner in Nashville, John Rich, and I said, "Look, man, we're going to do country music now, and I'm going to need your help." And we started the Ronnie Lee Keel era. One cool thing about that fact, or that period of my life, is that I divorced the last name Keel. I went out in Phoenix, Arizona. We left Los Angeles for various reasons, earthquakes, smog, Rodney King riots, and all. I got my family the hell out of LA and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, which is where I grew up. As I mentioned at the top of the interview, that was my hometown. And we moved back to Phoenix where my kids could go to a safe school. And uh, I began to go out in the desert with a bottle of whiskey and a guitar and start writing songs. And they ended up being country songs. Uh, I branded myself as Ronnie Lee because I didn't want my previous accomplishments to have any bearing or effect on where I was headed next. The guys in my band knew me as Ronnie Lee. They didn't know that I'd sold out Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row and toured the world with Dio and Bon Jovi and Van Halen and Aerosmith. They had no idea. I didn't tell them. I didn't say, "Hey, man, I've done all this, so trust me." I built that entire career as a country artist on the songs, the performances, the heart and soul. You don't just put on a cowboy hat and go out into a rodeo arena with 10,000 country fans and pretend, man, they'll kill you. They'll throw stuff at you and they'll beat the shit out of you on your way to the bus. You have to be real. It's not something that it is an art form that I challenged myself to conquer and learn and develop. And it wasn't until the album was released 30 years ago this summer that I came out of the closet, so to speak, and put. It was a big decision when we released the album. Here, hold on, I gotta show this to you. This is pretty cool. It's on the wall here in the man cave. The Ronnie Lee Keel album. It's probably blurry, isn't it?
It's a
No,
little
maybe.
bit. There we
There you go.
go.
There
There
you
you go.
go. Album of the year, 1995, for the Country Music Clubs of America. And when it came time to release the album, it was a tough choice. Do I do it as a Ronnie Lee album or Ronnie Lee Keel? I put my last name on it, and I chose to use my last name because I'm proud of who I am and where I came from. So it was a big surprise to all the fans that had supported us through those formative years in Arizona. When I came out as Ronnie Lee Keel, they go, "Oh, I knew it was him. That's Ron Keel. I knew it was him," because I never used any of those 80s accomplishments to help build my 90s country career.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. I and like I said, kind of one of the first metal and hard rock artists to do that crossover. And then later on, decades, you start hearing like Hank Three and bands like that, and they're doing metal sets and country sets, and it's really cool. And I think a lot of the fans do embrace that quite a bit. It's fun, and especially if it's kind of like that outlaw feeling, like you said, drinking beer, chasing women, having a good time,
Yeah.
talking about your truck or horses, cool things like that. I think it's nice. It's nice to hear that. And I want to go lead into the album itself, Keelworld, because we get a nice dose of very good metal, very sophisticated, heavy, hard rock and stuff. And then the latter part of the album, you have the country songs. There you go. There's metal, Ron Keel, and the Keelworld right there. Badass album. Let's talk about it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And there is, like I said before, everything on this record, metal and country and everything in between.
Right. Tell us about some of the songs. Like my favorite one of my favorites instantly was "Give Me Guitars," and it's because I think what you say you're talking about your origins, your love for heavy music. You talk instantly about Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. You can't go wrong about that. But tell us about that particular song and some of the other topics that you're singing about in the metal part. We'll talk about the country stuff afterwards.
Well, when I made the decision to record an album entitled Keelworld and take you and the listeners in the audience on a journey through my entire career, welcome to my world, so to speak. It's Keel World. It's got to include bits and pieces of every chapter of my journey from metal to country and everything in between. And the real catalyst was when Mark Ferrari from Keel, my good friend and guitar player and obviously a cornerstone of our band Keel, sent me a song, just a riff and some guitar stuff. And I realized this could be a new Keel song. And immediately I wrote the lyrics and melodies for that, cut the vocal right here in my home studio that day. And we had a song called Moving Target. So, and to me, it's one of the best Keel songs ever. I think it blows away much of what we did in the 80s. So I think we've raised the bar, so to speak, with this new Keel song, Moving Target. Now you've got Ron Keel Band. Obviously, we had some songs recorded for the record, the Emerald Sabbath track, a Black Sabbath tribute, and we've got a new Keel song. What we need is a new Steelers song, right? The first new Steelers song in 40 years. So I'm flipping through my stacks of lyrics and notebooks, looking for the right phrase or title. And I saw this, it's been in the notebook for God, who knows how long. Give me guitars or give me death. I thought that's cheesy enough to be a Steelers song title. And I had this riff, the riff that ended up being the foundation of the song. And I put the lyrics with the riff, and it just seemed to work magically. And I thought, wow, we've got a new Steelers song for the first time in 4 decades. So now that you've got Keel, Ron Keel, Steeler, Emerald Sabbath, we'll throw some country tracks on there, some solo tracks from uh, from my catalog, and it's all new. I want to emphasize the album Keelworld is all new material. This is not stuff from the vaults or stuff from uh, the archives. This is all brand new music uh, from all of these bands. We wrote and recorded all of these songs specifically for this album release. There's nothing rehashed or remastered or rekindled uh, on this album. This is all new, brand new music.
It's a dynamic, heavy album, man. There's some great riffs. Everything on there is really sweet. It's not a boring or it's not a slow. If there's a ballad, it's a juicy, heavy ballad that's really good in the style of what you've always put out in terms of those types of songs. So I want to really, really thank you for this piece of music. It's a lot of fun. By the way, I want to get that vinyl when you come down to Albuquerque. That looks like a great
Got it. All right.
collection and a nice one to listen to. But what I want to stay on Give Me Guitars real quickly because there's kind of I like the little ode to Malmsteen and to Jimmy Page. He says whether you grew up listening to Malmsteen or whether you grew up listening to Jimmy Page, that was really cool. And for maybe the youth that the younger audience that don't know, Steeler was a shrapnel recording artist. That was your first band that you had recorded, and Yngwie Malmsteen was on guitar on the first album. And it was a pretty successful album. There was a couple after that, and then you started Keel. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned so many artists in that song that influenced you, we just lost Ozzy Osbourne. How do we not ask Ron Keel about your thoughts on Ozzy Osbourne? Do you have any, um, excuse me, any thoughts, any stories, anything like that you want to tell us?
Well, I only met Ozzy once, but he is, to me, I don't know how many heads you can put on the Mount Rushmore of rock and metal, but he's got to be up there, man. Uh, I met him one time. We were recording and working next door in Van Nuys at Sound City, and he was cutting at Goodnight LA with Keith Olsen next door. And so we had some, we'd see each other in the lobby or in the parking lot, and I got to go in and actually watch him cut a vocal for that album. I was just a fly on the wall, really, not a whole lot of interaction. Uh, just a chance to shake his hand and say hello and thank you for your contribution to rock and metal. But as a lot of fans have heard or probably know, I was a member of Black Sabbath after Ian Gillan left in 1984 for a very short time, a very small thread of my career and an even smaller thread of the Black Sabbath history and legacy. But I remember sitting around with Tony and Geezer in the band meetings when I had joined the band, and literally Tony and Geezer would sit there for hours just trying to plot how to get Ozzy back in the band. And I'm just, I'm just I'm in the band. I have a signed contract, right? And I'm just sitting there in the band meetings, and they're just trying to figure out how to get Ozzy back. So that's my and when I was a DJ on live radio, there wasn't a day that went by in that 4 year career when I was doing live radio, 10 to 2 every day on KBAD 94 FM and KBAC radio, uh, where I wouldn't fit in an Ozzy song. I'm going to play Ozzy on every show, every radio show that I did. Um, his passing is legendary in the fact that a couple of weeks prior, he did quite possibly the biggest metal show or metal event of all time with that big concert, and then 2 weeks later, uh, said goodbye to romance for good. So uh, I think he did it right. He did it well, and set the bar really high for a lot of people like me. Now, Ozzy may not have been the best singer, or people may not consider him the best singer of all time. But I can tell you, when we were doing the Emerald Sabbath album, and I had to cover Ronnie James Dio, I did Die Young for that record with Vinny Appice, who played the drums on Die Young, which is pretty cool. And I covered Ian Gillan, Trashed, which is that song's a bitch to sing, man. And I did Hole in the Sky by Ozzy. And also for this new album, Keelworld, there's a cover of Children of the Grave,
Yeah.
the Black Sabbath classic, Children of the Grave on the new album. And I can tell you right now, man, the Ozzy vocals on that Emerald Sabbath project were the hardest to cover. He doesn't sound like he's doing anything acrobatic or amazing, but nobody else could do it like Ozzy did it, man. So I'm really proud to have been a small part of that legacy and to sing those songs on the Emerald Sabbath project and on the Keel World album and include his inspiration on some of my recordings.
Very nice. I want to go back now to Keel World real quickly and talk about the country songs. Tell us how many tracks are there of the country songs on this particular album?
Let me count them up. I think there's two country songs, two Ronnie Lee Keel songs. I don't know if they're country or not. Faster Horses is definitely a country song. Could have been a George Strait song. It's very traditional, a lot of steel guitar, and the uh, the challenge of singing these different styles on this record for me was, it's something I embraced. I really enjoy being able to take my voice into different places that maybe it's not real comfortable, but once you get into the song and you're carving those tracks, it becomes home. Uh, it's a drastic contrast between singing "Children of the Grave" and "Faster Horses," but the country music on this record, the album wouldn't be complete without addressing and touching on that era of my life and that side of my personality and my character that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like I said, it's a very dynamic. Every track on there is very fun, and when you get to those songs, it's even that much more fun. It just yeah, one of the things that I've always appreciated about you is I don't think you've ever taken yourself too serious. You bring out good stuff. It's from the heart, and that's what it is. You don't have to try to read between lines, and there's no jumping. Like it's not contrived, is what I'm really trying to say. It's really genuine and speaks well from the heart. It's very good music.
That means a lot to me. That I consider that a great compliment. It is from the heart, and that is one of the qualities and attributes of my music that I will always put first and foremost. It's got to be real. It's got to come from the heart. There is nothing contrived here. The thing that I love about this album, even though it is extremely diverse, it really is cohesive. it doesn't sound like a mishmash of different sessions and different songs thrown together as a compilation. It really does take you on a sonic journey. It has an identity unto itself, kind of like a movie soundtrack where you'll have your car chase and your love scene. It's a movie soundtrack, the movie of my life. I credit a lot of that to my co-producer and engineer Mike Dresch, who knew what we were looking for when we went into the mixing part of the sessions. You've got dozens of musicians from all over the planet contributing to this record, and different studios, different instruments, different sonic identities. How do you put all that together onto one album and make it sound like it all belongs together? And that was Mike Dresch's contribution. He knew what I was looking for and made this sonically cohesive to where everything sounds like it belongs together on this record.
Very cool. A couple more quick questions, and then I'll let you go, Ron. But I also, you're quite the Renaissance man. You mentioned that you were doing radio, and now you have a radio station, KRFK. Is that an online radio station, or can you tell us a little bit about it?
It has been a labor of love for many years now to embrace radio in general. As a kid who grew up with a little radio under the pillow, falling asleep at night listening to the AM radio, there's a love for radio in general that I've always carried with me and always will. And as we get into the modern age, people still have a problem accepting online or internet radio as real radio. It's not real, it's just online, right? Well, everything's online. Your social media is online. Me and Mike Trujillo are online right now talking to you people. It's all online. Every radio station on the planet has an online feed you could listen to on your web browser, and you could listen to it online and not hear any static. Just because you have to turn the dial in your vehicle and uh, as you're getting out of town, you're going to hear a lot of static. With internet radio, you get the best of both worlds. You get that personal interaction from the DJs and the show hosts, and also the fact that it always sounds good no matter where you go.
Nice, nice. And lastly, are you still doing the Keel Fests, which you had done like one or two of them, I think, in Nashville, right? Is that something that you're going to continue doing?
We did two Keelfest events, 2019 in Columbus, Ohio, 2022 in Nashville, Tennessee. I never say never. That's my rule. I never uh, close the door on any opportunities to challenge myself or entertain the people. But I don't have any plans right now to do another Keel Fest event. That is, it was great. We did it twice, and I'm very proud of that. And I literally, man, a lot of interviews like this, you'll ask about my future plans, like kind of you just did.
Hmm.
And I'm just trying to get to the next 10 hours or 12 hours. I
Right.
live each day as if it were my last. You never know what tomorrow may bring. We're all on a one-day contract. And yeah, you have to plan ahead. I'm already booking shows for 2026. I've got my next big international tour, Mexico, Peru, and Colombia in May of 2026. We've already got that on the books. So I am planning ahead, but if an idea or an inspiration strikes me, says this is what I want to do, this is what we have to do, this is what we should do, then I'll do it.
All right. Well, we are looking forward to seeing you. This has been an absolute privilege and an honor to talk to you, Ron. I do appreciate it, especially that we both got up a little bit earlier in the morning. Seems like that's a good way to kick off the day. You will be here on September 20th, which is a Saturday night over at Backstage Revel, which is basically inside Revel. And you will have local support artists as well as they'll be playing, jamming out with you, The Faw. This is a free show, man. How can you get better than that? It's free. This can be a lot of fun. Is there anything that you'd like to express to our viewers right now? Anything that you'd like to speak of and tell us about Ron Keel, about your projects, any of the stuff?
Well, you can always find me at ronkeel.com. there are links to the social media, YouTube, RFK Media, and all the other stuff that I do online at ronkeel.com. We have the new comic book coming out, Keelworld, the comic book. This is just the poster of the cover.
Okay.
And, and that's coming out next month. And my new film, which I starred in, Beginning of the End. It's a horror film, which I star in, being released on DVD by RFK Media in October. And I just appreciate the fact that we're still in the game. We're still having fun doing what we love to do. And I don't take any opportunity or any moment for granted. Thank you for having me on the show. I look forward to partying with you in Albuquerque on the 20th of September.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely have a beer. We're looking forward to seeing you. This is going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm very, very excited and looking forward to this show. Thanks again, Mr. Ron Keel, for joining us on my 50th episode. By the way, this is kind of a big breakthrough as far as
Congratulations on 5-0.
thank
Right
you
on, brother.
much. And Ron, thank you very much once again. And we will see you on Saturday, the 20th. Have a great day. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mike.